hard-working, strong faith and work ethic, loving husband, father, and grandfather, a patriot, guardian of the environment, open-minded, and forward-thinking. Those are just some of the most often used words associated with this year's South Carolina Farm Bureau Federation Distinguished Service Award recipient. Walter Dantzler was born and raised on his family's farm in the Providence community of Orangeburg County, an area that now bears a Santee address. The Dantzlers' five-generation farm, dating back to the days of King George, is a place that has long served to forge self-confidence, respect for the land and for others, and an understanding that the foundation of success is hard work and dedication to a job done well. As a boy, that hard work was done working his father's vegetable crops, the farm's primary source of income, and eggs from a 12 to 15,000 hen laying operation where Walter and his siblings gathered, graded, and packaged eggs.
We were expected to work on the farm, and the thing that I really appreciate about my parents is that they taught us how to work. They taught us how to accomplish things. Work was never really work for us because it was our way of life. It's what we did. So whatever was going on at the time, that's what we did, and that included myself and my two sisters and my brother.
In addition to working the farm and going to school, there was still time for working and showing beef cattle in 4-H shows, riding horses, and enjoying the great outdoors. Some of the very things Walter's sons have woven into the tapestry of their lives.
We have three sons, Brian, David, and Brooke, and they all grew up on the farm working like I did when I grew up, so they knew what was involved in farming. Brian was dyed-in-the-wool farmer from day one. All he ever wanted to do, and he was like I was, that was what he wanted to do. At an early age, he knew what he wanted to do. David and Brooke had an opportunity to come back to the farm. They chose not to.
And while Walter's farm partnership is with Brian, he is, of course, also proud of David, who works for a GIS GPS firm in Georgia, and Brooke, who's the Farm Bureau Insurance Agency manager in Dorchester County. Walter's also glad to have Brian's wife, Gina, employed as the farm's office manager.
In this day and time, farming requires a lot of hedging, a lot of information seeking and gathering as far as selling crops and storing crops. Gina does a great job with that. She was a farm girl herself. She grew up over in the New Zion, Turbeville area. Her family farmed, so she fell right into this and does a great job.
Of course, Walter may be a little biased, since Gina is the mother of grandson Dyson, who appears to be walking in his grandfather's footsteps, another dyed-in-the-wool Dantzler farmer.
This is a fifth-generation farm. My father, his father, and his father before him farmed this same land. My son Brian works with us on the farm, and he has a son that's really interested in farming, so hopefully it'll continue.
Efficient preservation of the land is important to Walter Dantzler. His dad had one of the first self-propelled cotton pickers in the eastern part of Orangeburg County. Emerging on-farm technology is something Walter respects, a trait no doubt he inherited from his dad, knowing it helps ensure the farm will be sustainable well into the future.
What a lot of non-farm people don't understand is that farmers take very good care of their land because it's been here for generations, and we want it to be here for generations to come. This is a family operation. We try to find that point that we have the efficiency to utilize our machinery and labor the best way we can, and we're always looking to increase acreage. So we've grown in the last 8 to 10 years and would like to continue to grow some.
He's very open-minded in progressing towards the future. He's allowed me to do things that maybe we wouldn't have done in the past. Different purchases we've made, technology moving forward, new machinery, new combines, the new technology, and auto steer, for example. That's something that we implemented several years ago in growing peanuts. And I like the fact that we keep up. We move with the times, and he's very understanding and allowing things to move forward.
In the last 4 or 5 years, have gone completely to strip till or no till as far as our planting is concerned. We are using guided systems on our planter tractors now. Everything is going more and more to precision farming. Our sprayers have guided systems and the capability to cut on and off so as not to overlap with chemicals, and so our machinery is getting bigger. The technology is there to do a lot of things that we couldn't do 5, 6, 7 years ago, and we try to take advantage of that, and we use that in spreading fertilizers too to eliminate overlaps. So technology is one of the big things that has changed for us, and it's been a good change.
Another good change in Walter's life came more than 40 years ago when he was a young Clemson student. That's when he met his wife, Maida, the daughter of a Navy captain who was stationed at the Pentagon at the time. Maida chose to attend Clemson because of their strong pre-veterinary program.
I was an animal science major, and with her being a pre-vet major, we had classes in the same building, and actually we had some classes together at times, and we met actually through friends of mine that were dating at Clemson. So, but we had some familiarity with each other before we got into the dating process, just by being in classes together.
You know, Walter was an old timer with all this agriculture stuff, and I was absolutely green as grass. I did not grow up. I grew up in the Navy, you know, moving from place to place.
Just as Walter boasts about the accomplishments of his sons and their families, Walter is also proud of his wife and her accomplishments as a supportive spouse, a nurturing mother, and a successful high school science teacher.
Our interest was always about farming. We've always ridden horses. She still rides. She retired from teaching last year, and she continues to ride, and she's very involved in garden club work and a lot of involvement in our church here in our community, and she continues to be very busy even after retirement. I don't look at myself as ever wanting to retire. I enjoy what I do too much, and I'll just stay around until I get tired of seeing me.
I just kind of think of him as the ultimate gardener, you know, except you asked him about does he work in the yard, and he does, but I have to be careful because his yard tools are a backhoe and a chainsaw, you know. So, but he has such an enthusiasm for what he does. Yeah. He has that work ethic that we talked about, and a sense of responsibility, knowing that it didn't start with him.
Apparently, Walter was a good enough catch to cause Maida to change her plans and stay at Clemson longer than the pre-vet program required.
I would have gone to California. I would have gone to Davis in California, see, so I just decided to stay and get my zoology degree, and then he went to Vietnam. When he came back, we got married.
The couple married in 1969 when Walter returned from overseas. They recently celebrated their 41st wedding anniversary.
When I was growing up, as I said, I was in a Navy family, and we just went from place to place to place. I was in 3 schools in the 6th grade, and I always wanted to be in one place, you know. And for me, I always longed to be on a farm, have my own horses and all that, so I'm living my dream life here.
Walter served his country proudly, something he's not ashamed to share. He's a decorated veteran, having received the Army Commendation Medal and a Bronze Star for his service in Vietnam. He left Clemson's Advanced ROTC a commissioned officer, and within 6 months received his orders to lead a platoon and eventually a company of soldiers in Vietnam.
It was an experience that was very humbling for me. To this day, I have much respect and high regard for any of our servicemen and women. They put a lot on the line every day for us, and it's always been a topic of conversation that I don't avoid because I feel strongly about our people that serve and the commitment that they have given to this country.
When given the chance to stay another month amidst the action in Vietnam and return home with a discharge, or to come home immediately and serve stateside for several more months, Walter took the additional month's service in Vietnam.
He took the 1 month extra in Vietnam so when he came home, he could get back to this farm and get back to work. So that shows you some of the character that he does have.
It was a very cathartic experience for him. It's the one experience that he had probably that took him totally away from his comfortable environment and forced him to be a leader, which he has always been, but he, in a way, he speaks very fondly of those times, although it was a really hard time. But it was a real maturing experience for him. He's so endowed with a sense of where he belongs and a sense of place, and it's very deep-rooted, and you can see it in our children and in our grandson too. He's a little farmer.
Walter's leadership influence and distinguished service goes far beyond his experience in Farm Bureau, where he serves on the Federation's Executive Committee as the Director-at-Large from the Coastal District. He also served as Orangeburg County Farm Bureau President and State Director, on the Marketing Association Board of Directors and Executive Committee, as a member and chairman of Farm Bureau's Political Action Committee, and on a number of strategic planning and study committees.
Farm Bureau is highly respected in ag circles across this country, and the most influential when it comes to helping make decisions not only in Congress in Washington but in our state. Our lobbyists are highly regarded. They're very professional and do a great job for us in getting the Farm Bureau story across to people that have no concept of what farm life is like. So I don't know of any organization in our state or in our nation that is as helpful to farmers as Farm Bureau.
I think he's proud, very proud of the service he's given to Farm Bureau. He always speaks of the commitment that farmers need to make to organizations and things to better serve what we do. And I don't think you could find a better one than Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization that we're all proud of, and he's proud to be associated with and be involved in as a leader.
And I think you have to be involved in not only in your profession. That's why I'm interested in Farm Bureau, and that's why I'm interested in our school, our church, because you have to be involved. You have to give something back to your community, and most people in our community do that.
From church to school to, I mean, he's the treasurer of our school board and has been for a long time, but even while he was that, he was also the chairman of SCISA. So, and pork producers and young farmers and Farm Bureau and whatever it is, he just invests himself totally in it.
Among many other leadership roles, Walter is also on the Legislative Committee for the Clemson University Board of Visitors. He sits on the Board of Directors of the First National Bank of South Carolina and is treasurer for the Holly Hill Academy. He also served in a number of leadership roles at the Providence United Methodist Church, including chair of the administrative board and trustees. And when his kids were younger, he served as a local Little League and basketball coach.
He didn't miss ball games. And that's something I've learned. You know, I don't miss my sons. You know, if I have to stop planting an hour early, you know, I help coach my son's team. But if I have to stop an hour early, you know, I do that because, gracious, it's flown by, you know, for me growing up, and it's flying by for my son. And then those things you know, you don't want to miss.
The three things that I think that give him the most satisfaction personally would be his faith, his family, and his work. And I've never seen anybody who loves to work like he does. He has a work ethic that I know came straight from his father. He has a perseverance that came straight from his mother. She died of cancer when she was 47, but she really, really fought it, and she held her head high, you know, through the pain and everything else. And his dad was the same way. And he has just the work ethic like you wouldn't believe. And sometimes that's a bad thing because he doesn't have a lot of patience with people that don't share it, and there are not very many people who do. But he really works hard, and he works to succeed in whatever he does.
I want to strive to do those same things. I want to be that same kind of person.
it amazes me that a farmer has to be such a jack of all trades. I mean, unbelievable. Is be a mechanic, an agronomist, a chemist, a commodities broker, you know, so many things. A soothsayer, a meteorologist. He just has to have so many talents, and very few people can really do that and do it all well. And you really have to stay on top of things. I talk about all the time about how he, as a person, as an individual, his farming experience has come from one man, one mule to GPS and everything computerized, and it's just amazing the technologies and they have to keep up with that.
Right.
And you know, you can't just like his dad did, grow it, sell it, plant it, grow it, sell it, plant it. You know, you can't. You have to. There's a different cycle now that has to be taken care of, and I really admire somebody who takes this on as a vocation, an avocation, and a calling, which I think is what he does. But he really does have a sense of the history of his land, of our land, and wanting to pass that on.
I'm very humbled by this. I'm very appreciative that that things that I've done for Farm Bureau have been recognized, and that I have made some contribution to the well-being of our organization, which I think is a great organization for representing farmers in our state.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man we call the 2010 South Carolina Farm Bureau Federation Distinguished Service Award recipient. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Walter Dantzler.